Born the eldest of two children in 1913, Rosa Louise Macaulay was raised on her grandparents' farm in Pine Level, Alabama. As a child, Rosa was exposed to the realities of segregation. She walked to school daily because the elementary school bus system prohibited black students from riding. Rosa later attended the Alabama State Teachers College High School. However, due to both her grandmother and mother's illnesses, she was forced to drop out. At 19, Rosa met Raymond Parks, who worked with Montgomery's NAACP chapter. After their marriage in 1932 and much encouragement, she earned her high school diploma. Rosa joined Raymond in the NAACP, serving as the chapter's secretary and youth leader.
History is peculiar. It places gifted and talented women and men in situations where they must make a choice. The choice she made was on the afternoon of the 1st of December, 1955, on a bus as she was going home from her seamstress job in a department store in Montgomery, Alabama.
Rosa, along with 3 other black passengers, were told to give up their seats to a white male passenger. She refused and was arrested. An all-day bus boycott was organized on the day of Rosa's trial, December 5, 1955, where she was fined $14 and found guilty.
She was a role model for courage in the face of racial injustice. Rosa Parks, through her quiet eloquence, through her commitment both to her faith and to the cause of civil rights and racial equality, was prepared to sacrifice everything, her security, even her life, to fight for what was right, at least her perception of what was justice.
Thousands of people walked, carpooled, and took cabs to work. The boycott lasted 381 days, with a 26-year-old Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. as their leader. Rosa was not the first person to refuse to give up her seat. 2 other women were previously arrested for the same offense. However, it was this quiet 42-year-old who became the face of the Montgomery bus boycott. In 1956, groundbreaking history was made.
The Supreme Court decision by a 9-0 vote supported the civil rights position calling for an end to racial segregation on municipal buses.
Unable to find work, largely due to her political stance, the Parks moved north to Detroit, Michigan, and by 1965, Rosa began to work for Congressman John Conyers until 1988 when she retired. In memory of her husband and in her vision for a better tomorrow, Rosa co-founded the Rosa and Raymond Parks Institute for Self-Development, which educates young people on the civil rights movement, gives freedom bus tours, and provides youth with professional guidance. Rosa also worked giving lectures and advocating for social justice. Rosa Parks passed away on October 24, 2005. She was the first woman and second African American to lie in honor at the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. Rosa received over 24 honorary doctrines and numerous national and international awards, among them the Medal of Freedom from President Clinton and the Congressional Gold Medal of Honor. Rosa was a grassroots activist for social justice and peace, through her efforts in the civil rights movement to her participation in the anti-apartheid movement for South Africa. Although she never planned on getting arrested, her simple action changed the course of a nation.
I think Mrs. Parks unexpectedly had greatness thrust upon her. I think she was born for it. And I do think she achieved it. You see what I mean? But had she not, on that particular day, said, "I'm not moving, my feet hurt," we would have a different nation and a different world.
Let me ask this question. What do colored people now hope to gain by pressing the segregation fight at this time? What immediate results do you hope to achieve?
Well, we hope to achieve equal rights as any human being deserves. That's what we are working for.
What do you think the prospects are for achieving that goal?
I think we'll be successful if we continue.
How long do you think it would take?
I have no idea how long.
I was arrested on December 1st, 1955 for refusing to stand up on the orders of the bus driver after the white seats had been occupied in the front. And of course I was not in the front of the bus as many people have written and spoken that I was, that I got on the bus and took a front seat, but I did not. I took a seat that was just back of where the white people were sitting. And in fact, the last seat, and the man was next to the window, and I took an aisle seat, and there were two women across. And we went on undisturbed until about the second or third stop when some white people boarded the bus and left one man standing. And when the driver noticed him standing, he told us to stand up and let him have those seats. He referred to them as front seats. And when the other three people, after some hesitancy, stood up, he wanted to know if I was going to stand. I told him I was not, and he told me he would have me arrested. And I told him he may do that. And of course he did.
When Rosa Parks decided to stay seated in December of 1955, I was 2.5 years old. I know that what Rosa Parks did made a huge difference in my life. You know, now as I am 60 years old, and I look back at all the opportunities, all the doors that were opened because of people like Rosa Parks. The conventional wisdom about her was, oh, this was just a woman who got on the bus, she was tired, her feet hurt, she didn't want to get up. But that does not take into account her incredibly amazing political consciousness, the training that she had.
She had been trained as a political activist, working as field secretary for the Montgomery chapter of the NAACP. She was part of a community of women activists at local colleges who were organizing to take on segregated buses for the purposes of ending that practice. So they were thoughtfully and diligently looking for their opportunity to strike.
She was like Jackie Robinson in the sense that it had to be the right person. Jackie Robinson could be the person he was, the person who made the difference in baseball, because he had the discipline and the awareness and the consciousness to do what he did. Rosa Parks had the discipline and the consciousness and the awareness to be able to be the person to represent herself and to represent African Americans who were trying to make a difference.
Her story tells us that you don't have to always have been a leader to do something important and to make an impact, and that you don't have to be a big personality or a loud person to take a stand, that you can be a sort of quiet person of principles, and that these sort of quiet people and people who work behind the scenes are important to the history of social change.
Up until that time, people just sort of accepted what was going on. They really couldn't fight back because the consequences were too great. And because she had been trained and because she was a member of the NAACP and because of the confluence of Martin Luther King coming to Montgomery, this bus boycott was incredibly powerful. It's something that people will study forever. That's something that started with the spark from this woman that grew into a local bus boycott, that grew into a national consciousness, that made not just African Americans realize that this had to end, it made most Americans who care about liberty and justice realize that this way of life had to end.